As in the previous episode, we saw that Minister Sheharyar killed Najmi Jamal and buried him in his newly constructed palace. Najmi Jamal's wife went to Sheharyar and asked about her husband. Sheharyar told her that he had sent him to China for some work and he would return. However, when 2 months passed and Jamal did not return, his wife went to Minister Sheharyar's court again, but the guards did not let her in and pushed her away. Time passed, and then Jamal's wife gave birth to a beautiful son. She remembered Jamal and cried a lot, then started living with her son. She worked hard to feed herself and her child. When Jamal's son grew up, he was named Mahar. He was very intelligent and sharp from a young age. People were amazed by his wisdom even as a child. When Mahar turned 3, his mother sent him to a teacher to study. Mahar was very sharp and learned quickly. Whatever other children learned in 2 days, he learned in 2 hours. He quickly mastered reading and writing. One day, when Mahar returned home, his mother was very ill. She said, "Son, I couldn't earn anything for food today. We will have to sleep hungry." Mahar was very upset. He cared more for his mother than himself. He said, "Mother, is there anything to sell so I can buy food and medicine for you?" His mother replied, "No, son, everything has been sold for our needs." But then she remembered and said, "There is an old book in that box. Sell it and buy food for yourself. Don't worry about my medicine. I will be fine." When Mahar opened the box, he found a very old and strange book with damaged pages. On the cover, it was written, "The Magic Book. Whoever reads it with focus and belief will see the past, present, and future." Mahar started reading the book. He read for a long time, then started crying loudly, but he kept reading. After a while, he burst into laughter. His mother was worried, thinking, "What has happened to my son?" First, he was crying, and now he is laughing. "Has he gone mad?" she called out. "Mahar, what happened? Come here." Mahar went to his mother and said, "Mother, the minister killed my father and buried him in his new palace. Even now, my father's body is buried there." Hearing this, Mahar's mother started crying, but Mahar said, "Mother, don't cry. I have learned from this book that I will take revenge on Sheharyar and the king will make me his minister. Now I will go and bring food." Mahar left the house and went to the market. He went to a shop and said to the shopkeeper, "Do you recognize me?" The shopkeeper said, "Yes, you are the son of Jamal Najmi, who still hasn't returned from China." Mahar said, "The minister killed my father, and now I will take revenge." The shopkeeper said, "You are just a child. How will you take revenge? The minister will kill you." Mahar replied, "Time will tell. Anyway, send rice, sugar, and ghee to my house, enough for a month, and send this every month." The shopkeeper asked, "How will you pay?" Mahar said, "You are asking me for money. I will go and tell the king that you cheated a farmer out of 4,000 kilograms of wheat and paid him very little. I know everything. The king will have your head." The shopkeeper was scared because he had indeed done this. He said, "All right, I will send everything." Then Mahar went to the butcher's shop and said, "Send 10 kilograms of meat to my house every month." The butcher saw a small child giving him orders and angrily said, "Get out of here." Mahar said, "It seems I will have to reveal your secret too. You stole your neighbor's goats and sold the meat. The king will make mincemeat out of you." Hearing this, the butcher started trembling and said, "Son, you are very respectable. Whatever you say will be done." Mahar returned home happily and went to sleep. When so much food arrived at the house, his mother's health improved from happiness. Mahar said, "Mother, you don't need to work anymore. I will take care of my father's responsibilities and earn enough. Time passed, and one day Mahar's mother asked for mangoes. Mahar smiled and said, "Mother, the time has come. I will be away for a couple of days, but when I return, I will bring mangoes." Mahar went to the palace that the minister had built and where Jamal Najmi was buried. Next to the palace, the minister had also built a large garden with all kinds of fruits. Mahar went to the garden's gate and called out to the gardener, saying he wanted some mangoes. The gardener said, "Go away. This is the minister's garden." He started locking the gate, but Mahar shouted, "Don't touch the lock. The snake you killed yesterday has its mate in the lock, and it will bite you." When the gardener looked, he saw a snake's mate in the lock. He was shocked and took Mahar inside, seating him on the minister's throne. Just as the gardener was about to get mangoes, the minister arrived. Seeing a child sitting on his throne, he became furious and called the gardener. The gardener, trembling, said, "This child is magical. He saved my life." The minister was surprised and asked Mahar who he was. Mahar replied, "I am the son of the man you killed and buried here." The minister was shocked and asked how he knew. Mahar said, "Now you will die too." The minister called his guard and ordered him to lock Mahar in the dungeon and promised to fulfill his wish. The guard wanted to marry the minister's daughter. He immediately took Mahar to the dungeon. Mahar said, "The minister will not fulfill your wish, but I can. I promise I will also make your son a minister. If you tell the minister you want to marry his daughter, he will have you killed." The guard was amazed at how the child knew this. He said, "All right, how will you arrange my marriage?" Mahar said, "Keep this a secret. Don't tell the minister about me until he slaps you 3 times." The guard was confused but agreed. After 2 days, the guard released Mahar, and the gardener gave him mangoes, promising not to tell anyone. Mahar returned home. A few days later, the king had a terrifying dream but forgot it. He tried to remember but couldn't. One day, the king called everyone and said, "I had a dream, but I forgot it. If anyone can tell me the dream and its meaning, I will reward them greatly." Everyone, including the minister, said, "Your Majesty, tell us the dream, and we will explain its meaning." The king became angry and said to Minister Sheharyar, "You are the wisest and know astrology. You have 2 days to tell me the dream, or I will hang you." The minister was terrified and left the palace, thinking about Mahar. He regretted not killing him earlier. After some time, the minister thought maybe Mahar was still alive. He called his guard and ordered him to bring Mahar. The guard said, "Your Excellency, we locked him in the dungeon. His remains won't even be found now." The minister became furious and slapped the guard 3 times. The guard said, "Your Excellency, Mahar is at his home." The minister was shocked and asked why he hadn't told him earlier. The guard said, "The child told me not to tell you until you slapped me 3 times." The minister was amazed. He went to Mahar's house and begged for forgiveness, saying, "Save my life. The king will hang me." Mahar said, "Don't worry. Tell the king that your student will explain the dream. Then call me, and I will tell the dream. This way, the king will think your student is very wise and will make your son his student." The minister liked this idea and agreed. The next day, the minister went to the king and said as Mahar had instructed. The king said, "If you couldn't explain it, how will your student do it anyway? I don't care who explains it. Bring the student." The minister ordered his guard to bring Mahar. When the guard went to get Mahar, Mahar said, "Tell the king I will not come like this. Minister Sheharyar must come himself, turn into a horse, and carry me on his back." When the guard relayed this, the minister became very angry, but the king laughed and said, "You must have done something bad to this child, and now he is taking revenge. Anyway, do as the child says and bring him." The minister had no choice but to turn into a horse and carry Mahar on his back. Everyone laughed at this sight. When the minister brought Mahar to the court, the king saw such a small child and was amused that he had defeated the minister. The king called Mahar to his side and asked about the dream. Mahar said, "Your Majesty, you dreamed that you had a treasure in your hand, and from afar, a large crow came and took the treasure. Then, from where the crow went, a large hawk came, snatched the treasure from the crow, and returned it to you." The king said excitedly, "Yes, that was the dream." "You are right, come sit beside me." Mahar sat on the throne next to the king. The king asked, "Why did you treat the minister like that?" Mahar explained that the minister had killed his father for treasure and buried him in the ground. He said, "If you dig there, my father's and his horse's remains will be found." The king became furious and ordered his guards to dig where Mahar had said. They found the remains, proving Mahar's story true. The king was enraged and ordered the minister to be imprisoned in the dungeon forever, where he would die of hunger and thirst. Then the king asked Mahar about the meaning of the dream. Mahar said, "It is right in front of you. The minister was the crow who took your treasure, and I am the hawk who returned it, as all the treasure boxes were found in the minister's palace." The king was very pleased and made Mahar his chief minister, seating him on Sheharyar's throne. Mahar then arranged the marriage between the minister's daughter and the guard, as he had promised, and made the guard's son a minister. The end.